YouTube's been around for a long time, and I've been producing YouTube channels for many, many years. And when I talk to new people about starting a channel today, they just wonder, like, isn't there a channel about everything now? Am I going to be able to really compete, or do I have a chance? Because there's a lot of noise, and we could talk about this on all social platforms.
Right.
And so the topic of this video that I wanted to bring Valerie on, because she's an expert on influence, is how do we stand out in a noisy world? You definitely want to pay attention to this video. All right, so where do we begin? How do we sort through all this noise and actually stand out so that people can hear our voice?
Well, I think what's important to realize is that even though there are so many different voices out there in today's world, people are still looking for that right voice.
Okay.
And so if you can know exactly who you are and know who your audience is, you can really speak to them, because there's so many different voices, but when you speak directly to them in a way that they are looking for, they're going to want to pay attention to you versus all of the other voices out there. So really start with who you are, make that a foundational piece of what you're doing, and then you'll be able to really convey that to the right people.
I love that. I really love that. And you were just mentioning an example of somebody who read your book.
Yeah.
And that they decided they want to do that as a career, like go become an influencer.
Right.
And I think a similar thing. I was at a conference. A man from England was there, and he says, "Nate, you're here?" He didn't expect to see me, and I didn't know who he was. He says, "I've been watching your YouTube videos." I'm like, "Cool, this is fun." 'Cause I don't get that. My clients get that more than I do, for sure. It's really good validation to know that there are people out there that want to hear my message in the way that I share it. That is cool. So really just being true to your voice, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, and I think you have to realize exactly who your voice is. Like get true on who that is first. So that way you're portraying the right persona and the right you to the public.
Okay.
And that way you're not sending mixed messages, changing up who you are, what you're all about every few months.
Trying to be what we've seen other people do. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of speaks into another point of this, which is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best ways you can stand out is by being consistent. I've got a friend who every 5 or 6 months, she changes who her target clients are. And as a social media manager, if you're out networking and building this network of people who are sending referrals your way, that can be very confusing to your network if you change who you serve on a regular basis. So people tend to be confused. And honestly, I found that after being in business for about 2 years, that third year on, things just started picking up momentum. And a lot of it, I think, was for people realizing that Valerie was sticking around. She had started her business, and it was something that was going to last. It wasn't something that was just going to fizzle. Because we all hear about businesses that start up and then fizzle quickly, right? So I think people are looking to see if you're going to stick around, whether that's a YouTube channel, your business, whatever the case may be. But consistency is also really important because people are busy, and there are social media algorithms, there's Google algorithms, there's YouTube algorithms, and people need to be consistent so that your content actually gets out to your audience on a regular basis, because they're not going to see 100% of your content all the time. It's just nearly impossible. There's too much content in the world today to be able to consume all of it all the time. So you want to make sure you're consistent so that you're keeping top of mind and getting out to people on a regular basis. You know, the sales cycle talks about people needing somewhere between 5 to 12 touches. I've heard different variations of maybe 7 touches or 10 touches, but whether it's 5 or whether it's 12, the reality is that most people will not pull out that credit card to buy something on the very first time they see your brand. Sometimes you get lucky, but most of the time you have to get in front of them a handful of times. It's the same thing with your content strategy. You need to be posting on a regular basis about who you are and what you do so that your network is able to get those 5 to 12 touches to know, oh yeah, that's what Valerie does. I could hire her to help me with my content.
It's awesome. So I liked when you said that when you're consistent, you stand out. And
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way, but I think about all the people who do stand out, And it's because they're consistent in their message, in the way that they deliver it, the platform that they use. It makes a lot of sense.
It's actually one of the easiest things to do, but it's the hardest thing to do at the same time.
Well, it takes discipline.
It does.
You've got to have the stick-to-itness to carry on and keep doing something for a long time.
Yeah, a lot of people, that's where they fail. It's not technically difficult, but it's really hard to keep up with it.
So one thing that I know that you've talked about in your book is the importance of really building loyalty. So what's the key to that loyalty?
So from my experience, the biggest key to loyalty is trust. And that doesn't happen overnight.
Okay.
It usually happens brick by brick. You're building up loyalty with people, or you're building up trust with people. And as you build trust with them, they become loyal to you. They will be raving fans of you and anything you put out. I know some people that they put out content, they launch a new course, they do something new, and their entire fan base is all behind them. And I don't know, I think there's a few YouTube sensations that have had this similar thing. Isn't there this scientist guy that has done a similar thing with when he launched his product? Mm-hmm. How did that go for him?
Yeah, he had never launched a product before. He had just created educational videos on science and physics and whatnot. And he launched a Kickstarter campaign. He hit his funding goal of $42,000 in 2 hours. And over the 5-week campaign, he raised over $500,000. People just wanted to support him, yeah.
He had a ton of loyal fans, a ton of loyal followers, and they trusted him to know that, hey, he puts this product out, it's worth investing in.
Well, and talking to your points of consistency, he regularly just put out this great content. And I know you always mention value, how important it is to really give value, because that's something that he is very good at. Every one of his videos are extremely valuable. In fact, he's got 2 channels. His channels are Veritasium and Veritasium 2.
Okay.
The reason I bring that up is he will only put like the highest quality, highest production quality and researched and whatever on his main channel. If he's just going to kind of chat and have a conversation, even though I think they're still valuable, you can tell that he's really just wanting to give the highest amount of value on his main channel, so that if people are going to get irritated or know it, oh, this is an easier video, he was just chatting while he was walking down the street, he puts that on his secondary channel. It's pretty interesting, but he's got over 5 million subscribers now.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I'm always talking about growing your following and getting it bigger and bigger. Do you think that we should always be growing, or should there be a point where we keep it exclusive? What do you think?
Well, I think you can have different areas of your business that are more exclusive than others, but I think one way that you continue to stand out in the world is by continuing to grow. And so the bigger your profiles are, the bigger your subscribers are, obviously the more people you're able to reach and the more you're able to cut through that noise. So while you can make a dent with a small group of people, you also, if you really want to cut through the noise on a grand scale, you got to be continuing to grow. And that has to be a focus. And ultimately, if you really believe in your message, that should be a really driving force, because if you feel that people need to know your message, the only way to do that is by reaching more people. And that includes having more subscribers, having more followers, having more likes, getting more eyeballs on your content.
A big reason why I love the power of influence is just because of the fulfillment it gives me. Mm-hmm. And the more people, quantity-wise, the higher number of people I can influence, or the more that I can influence in a more impactful and more meaningful, more significant way, I get more and more fulfillment. So I think, why would I ever want to cap that? But I have groups that are limited, so that's why I brought that up. But in my mind, it's like, yeah, I want to influence 7 billion people. Maybe that's the cap.
7 billion. Well, I think it's also understanding what your limits are, you know?
Okay.
And sometimes you just don't have the capacity to be going after having those millions of followers on YouTube. You're doing what you can do, and that's enough.
Well, if we talk about my done-for-you YouTube service, right now I've got a dozen clients that I can help. Yeah, I want more, but can I handle thousands? No, I can't produce thousands of YouTube channels for people. So, okay, I see what you mean. That depends on what the community is and what the value is that I'm providing, because there's only so much that a certain system or a certain person can do.
Right.
So what I've heard you say then is that YouTube is the best strategy to stand out. Well, obviously we talk a lot about YouTube, so thanks so much for sharing your advice. And definitely want you to check out her book. It's called We're All Ears by Valerie Morris. You find it on Amazon. And we come out with new videos every single day, so be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow.